What's going on, traders? We're going to get straight into it. You're not going to want to miss this. So, first things first, I want to get this out the way. I think next week, okay, mark my words here. You can pin the video, you can come back to the video. I think next week, the market is going to have an explosion to the upside. Now, the only way I think this is going to happen, okay, there is a kind of a but within this, okay? The only way I think this is going to happen is if we see a dip between tomorrow and Monday. Maybe Tuesday, who knows? But regardless, in order for me to really be confident that the market is going to go absolutely absurd to the upside, I would like for us to see some type of dip. Now, if we continue to the upside, then that's fine as well. That's great for our Discord. I'm all for it. But if we can get a dip, think the market is going to go absolutely ballistic. And so let's talk about why I would like to see a dip. Well, one, we will be creating a higher low. We got a low here, a higher low here. And then if we just so happen to pretty much reject from this point on and pretty much bounce from 19,800, thus creating another higher low, then I think next week is going to be insane. Okay. I truly, genuinely think that. Now, there is a worst case scenario, a much, much worse case scenario. So down here, right, all the way down towards 19,500, there is a gap on the NQ. There's also a gap on the ES. We'll talk about that in a bit. And so that is the worst case scenario. Now, I can't say for sure if that's going to happen. But if we do just so happen to head towards this gap all the way down to about 19,500, 19,200, that's very bad. Okay. Now, again, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. If anything, I think after we top, that's going to happen. But I want you guys to keep that in mind. Not only that, but we are looking at somewhat of a double bottom. Now, I like my double bottoms to be a certain way. I don't like them to be like higher lows and all that and lower highs and whatever the case may be. But we broke the neckline here. So the measured move for this possible double bottom, if we wanted to call it that, by all means, if you don't want to call it a double bottom and you don't agree with it, I don't blame you. But if we were to do a measured move here, we would say that this measured move for the double bottom, we drag it to the top of the break or the neckline here, we're looking at a move all the way to 21,300. Okay, 21,300. So the NQ can head as high as 21,300. You guys know that one of my targets is 20,800. We got pretty close. We got to like 20,500. So pretty good move. And so in my last video, I told you guys again, 20,000. Wait, what was it? 20,160. As long as we get above that, we're going to go ballistic to the upside. We're going to go parabolic to the upside. We're going to head to the moon. And we saw that. Okay, we saw that happen today. And so again, if we can get a dip towards 19,800, and that's a pretty significant move from 20,300. I will say that you're going to feel that if you're bullish. I'm not gonna lie, you're going to feel that. But if we can get that move, I think the potential for upside is going to be insane. Now, if we just continue up from here, then that's fine. Okay, that's I'm not gonna argue with that. Okay, but if we can get a dip and create more space for upside, so let's say we do one of these moves for the next day or two, and then head further to the upside, we're creating more space for upside. All right, and I remember mentioning this to you guys in way back. Anytime the market dips, it's just creating more room for upside. Okay. Because the market is notoriously bullish. And so we look at the ES and we're looking at the same scenario here. I told you guys if the ES can get above 5,800, then we're heading towards 5,850, 5,860. And we're there. Okay. We are there. Now, my only issue is that the SPY is not above 573. We'll talk about that in a bit. But another scenario where we have a gap here all the way at 5650 on the ES. So a move that we could be looking at here is a if we just so happen to drop between maybe tomorrow or sometime next week, early next week, if we do just so happen to drop, right, and we start heading towards this fair value gap, we'll be filling this gap as well. We'll mitigate this area, and then we'll be looking at a bounce towards the upside, and that will give us a lot of space towards that 6,000. Okay, 6,000 target that I'm pretty sure everybody's talking about. I told you guys that one of my targets is 5,900, 5,950 after 5,800. So if we do get that drop or that dip, I imagine we're going to bounce from the 5640, 5650 range, somewhere around that, more or less, and then we start heading higher, and then that will give us our move or confirm our move towards 6,000. Okay, so that is what I'm looking at. You also have a low here, a higher low here, and if we just so happen to bounce from this area, we're looking at another higher low. So I'm kind of counting on this move. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It doesn't make me like super bearish or anything. I'm just kind of counting on this move. And again, if we just continue to head up tomorrow and Monday and the rest of next week or half of next week, whatever the case may be, that's fine as well. All right. But it just really limits our upside. I will say that much. Now, unless we just break out of this area and just have some type of melt up and break above 6,000, then okay, fine. But right now, that is the move that I'm looking at. Either we head higher and reject from 6,000 from here, or we head lower. And sorry, the drawing's not, acting right. So if we head lower, here we go. We mitigate this area, clear this area, and then we head higher, and we can possibly head a little bit higher than 6,000, maybe 6,050, 6,100. So we have a lot more room to the upside. But if we can get a dip, we'll have way more room to the upside. Okay, so that's my point there. Okay, so we look at the triple Qs. So I would have liked to see the triple Qs close above 490 today. So I'm not really happy about this move if I'm looking to be bullish. So if we do get that dip, I would imagine that we're going to see a drop to the downside and start heading towards um, I would say five, not five, 480, somewhere around that range, 480, 478, somewhere around that range. So if we do just so happen to dip tomorrow for whatever reason, or dip the next, few days, I do imagine we're going to head there, and then there is a possibility we pretty much clear this area at around 475. So that is the worst case scenario. And again, as you guys can see, I don't make this stuff up. We are really close to the top of this rising wedge. Really close. Okay. We rejected here, we rejected here. So this is why I'm talking about a dip. And if we get that dip between tomorrow and Monday, I think next week the market is going to go insane. Maybe the next week or two. I think the market is going to go insane. So we see a drop towards, the bottom of this, falling rising wedge towards 480, reject from this point, and then we create more space and we start heading towards 500, 501. Okay, somewhere around there. Now, another possibility here is that we head higher or we break out of this rising wedge and pretty much head towards 510. Okay. Now, my price target, you guys know my all-time high price target is 510. And so what's important is that I told you guys in this last video that if we can get above, what did I say, 480 on the triple Qs, then we're going to head towards 490. And so we pretty much cleared this gap. We filled this gap up. We mitigated this fair value gap. So the market can go any direction from this point in regards to the tech side. But I do think we're going to see more upside. I just don't think it's going to be a straightaway shot. I could be wrong. We'll see tomorrow. All right. So we look at the SPY. And so we look at the SPY daily time frame, right? And so the ascending triangle is still in play. Everything still looks fine. There is, I guess you can call this a hangman pattern. It is a reversal pattern here, so there is potential again for some downside within the next day or two. And so we possibly, if we want to see downside, or if we are looking at some downside, I imagine the SPY is going to head towards 567, 565 range, which is pretty much where this gap area is at the top of this ascending triangle right here. So we pretty much, break down, head towards this area, and then start to bounce higher and start heading towards that 580 target that we've been talking about. Again, we're looking at ascending triangle. We got our bounce here. We have a bounce here. We have a low here, higher low, and then we have a flat top. So that's making this an ascending triangle, and it was confirmed once we broke out of the ascending triangle. And so the measured move for this ascending triangle, which is pretty crazy. If we all you do is measure the open and close of the ascending triangle and you bring it to the breaking point of it, and you're looking at a move all the way to 610, 615, 620. Okay. I can't say for sure if that's going to happen. I can't tell you guys if we're going to see that big of a move to the upside, but you guys know that one of my targets is 580 and then 600 on the SPY. But I mean, it wouldn't be possible for the SPY to head much higher than that. So we'll see. But again, if we see this dip to the downside, again, that creates more room for upside. Now, the bot in our Discord did something interesting. Okay, it alerted a 510 call for October 18th with a 343 premium, and its confidence is 66%. Now, this is very interesting because the bot in our Discord, when it comes to alerting triple Q calls, is usually really close to the money. Okay, it's usually like $2, $3 off from the money, or it's either in the money. So this is a very interesting play. You know, do what you want with this information, but I thought this was very interesting. The bot alerted this, and if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, the bot alerts things from the options chain. Okay, so it's pretty much following or letting us know what whales are doing, what whales are trading what, and it pretty much follows our guidelines and success rates in regards to trades. So I do think. And you guys know that my target is 510. So it's ironic or very ironic that it alerted this 510 call, considering that one of my targets is 510. And we've been talking about this for a long time. When I said, even before the last, pump in the market, the last rally when the triple Qs hit to 503, I was calling for 510, 510 way before that 503 target hit. We didn't get there. We got pretty close, but I still stood on that target even after we saw a huge drop in the market after we hit 503. So, do what you want with this. I think the triple Qs is going to head to 510. The AI bot pretty much supports that thought process, so we'll see what happens from there. And if you want access to our AI bot, that and it calls trades. It's really, really the accuracy on this thing is insane. Okay, it's really accurate. Discord members really love it. You got AMD calls, 170 calls that expire tomorrow. 70% confidence, 1 million premium. Amazon 192.5 calls, very high premium, 64.79%. So if you want to track these trades, keep them in memory and see what happens tomorrow. Usually, I tell Discord members, and even the bot tells you to add more time to plays that's really close. So, for example, if you want to take this AMD trade, you will want to add a week to this contract versus just trading it for tomorrow. So that's usually what the bot warns you, and I tell my Discord members to do as well. But if you want access to this, Discord link is in the description below. But again, back to the point here, triple Qs, 510 call, that's our target. So it's very, very ironic that it caught that. Now, I would have liked to see the SPY close above 573. And it's not, to say that it's the end all be all. Maybe we gap up tomorrow. Maybe we get good news tomorrow and we just gap up above 573. That is possible. This could be a bear trap. But again, I just have to stick with this possibly being a hangman. If it looks like the pattern, assume that it is until proven otherwise. And so that's my focus heading into tomorrow. If we get a dip, then I still think that's great for next week. If we continue to pump, depending on how much we pump, it could possibly be good for next week. So we'll see. But regardless, that's my thought process on the ETFs. Now let's talk about some stocks here. And so I want to talk about Coin. Congratulations to Discord members. We absolutely killed Coin. I told you guys about this in the last video or two that I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin. I think it's going to head towards 65K, 67K. And Coin has been a beast. Okay. We did 180 calls. We took profit at around 176, 177. Coin has absolutely pretty much followed everything I said. I told you guys that there was nothing to worry about here. Coin pretty much mounted this level here, mounted the top of this ascending triangle, and then from there, it went absolutely ballistic, and Bitcoin went ballistic to the upside as well. I still think Coin is going to have has more upside in it, and we could potentially see a move to 190, 195, somewhere around that range. So we'll see. And so I want to talk about SOXL as well. I told you guys about this trade that we took in regards to MU earnings. I was pretty bullish on MU earnings, and so we did a 34 call on SOXL for next week before MU earnings, and it pumped all the way to $40. We took profit this morning, so congratulations to Discord members on that play as well. So next we want to talk about SMCI. And so I told you guys SMCI, one of my targets for SMCI was I believe 530, between 530, 550, right? And some things you just can't control in the market, okay? I mean, you can't really control much of anything in the market, but some things you just can't see coming. I guess is a better way to say it. And so SMCI ends up getting Black Swan news out of nowhere, and yeah, went straight to the abyss. And so it happens, okay? It happens, and this is why it's important to take profit when you have the opportunity to take profit. But regardless, I don't think this move is going to last in regards to SMCI, especially for its before its split date. I think this is going to be considered an overreaction. Worst case scenario for this stock is that it heads towards the 350, but I do think that at some point in time next week, if I'm right about next week and we do see huge explosion to the upside, I think SMCI is going to see 530, 550. Highest I'm looking at is about 600. There's a lot of fair value gaps that need to be mitigated to the upside. Granted, there are a few to the downside, but I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. Okay, we will see. But if you look at the weekly time frame, I mean, you got a lot of fair value gaps to the upside. Now, I don't think if this would be crazy if SMCI just so happened to decide to mitigate all these like right away next week, all the way to 800. I don't think that's going to happen. But you know, we saw what happened today. So if SMCI gets some godly type news, then maybe. But right now, I'm just focused on the 530, 550 target. I think that's very much reasonable. And again, worst case scenario, it heads towards the 350s, 340 range. So you do what you want with this information, but so it's just something you can't help. Now, I will say another thing I will say is that we could be looking at a potential double bottom here. All right. So either we continue to break down or we start forming a double bottom. Okay. So you'll have your bottom here, and then if we get a bullish candle tomorrow, like a really good bullish candle, we'll have a possible bottom here. And then in order for this to confirm, we'll need to break above. Let's actually get rid of this trend line right here real quick. And so in order for the double bottom to be confirmed, we'll just need to break above this neckline if it turns out to be a double bottom, right? Or starts to form as one. So we'll have a bottom here, and then our neckline will be all the way at around the 480, 485 range. So possible. Okay, possible. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow and sometime at the beginning of next week. And if this just so happens to play out, then I think SMCI is going to go crazy prior to its split. Okay. Usually stocks do go crazy before they're split. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if this news that just came out on SMCI turns out, to be false or turns out to be fine or whatever the case may be. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. So that's what I have for SMCI. So let's talk about Nvidia, and then I'm going to get you guys up out of here. Nvidia is very, very, very interesting here. So I told you guys about the symmetrical triangle, and I told you guys about these guys in this area here. A lot of turbulence here. So we were right on the money here. We hit the top of the symmetrical triangle, we rejected, and we're pretty much breaking down. We're not breaking down anything crazy, but we pretty much, you guys know what I'm saying here. And so if we do continue to head down, then I do imagine Nvidia is just going to want to, pretty much clear this area out right here at around 119, 117 before possibly heading higher. Again, we need to stop these guys out of their position in order to really go higher on Nvidia, possibly look at a target of 150 if we just so happen to break out of the symmetrical triangle. We'll see. But that's what I'm looking at in regards to Nvidia. So a few signs are showing that we are going to be seeing a dip soon. A few signs that shows that we're going to see a continuation. So it's really tough to say. We'll see what happens, and that's really all I have. So if you want access to our plays in the Discord, today was absolutely banger of a day. We can actually look at the trades real quick that we took. We took one loss on SMCI. What is this? Oh yeah, so this was like an old play. I don't know why it's all the way up there. But yeah, so we scroll, there's a lot of scrolling happening. So yeah. So we took profit on coin. So here's our proof here. 57% gains on this play. Absolutely banger of a play here. SOXL, we made 106%. And then where is SMCI? Here it is. So SMCI, we had to exit. We lost at a 66%. It's just, you couldn't predict that news. Okay, it is what it is. It just came out of nowhere, and the reaction to it clearly shows that the market wasn't ready for that type of news as well. So it happens. It is what it is. I was very confident in the play, but you can't win them all. So this was our loss for the day. It is what it is. I think this is our only loss for the week, actually. Is it? It might be. So, I'll double check on that. But regardless, great day, great week for us. We're up like 800% for like the past 2 weeks. And yeah, so that's all I got. Discord link is in the description below if you want access to our plays. If you want to see these big gains, I always go for 50% or higher. Well, 40% or higher on our gains, but a lot of these end up just a lot higher. 100% on SOXL. That was a beautiful play. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Until the next video, traders, have a good one.